Cast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the latest in our Unlocking Knowledge Transfer series. My name is Siobhan Horan and I am working with Knowledge Transfer Ireland. The purpose of this series is to really shine a spotlight on all the wealth of research expertise available throughout Ireland. So this is the fourth webinar in our series. After each webinar, we've been asking people for feedback, and one topic that has consistently come up has been artificial intelligence. So we're really delighted this morning to invite two really great speakers. We've got Edward McDonnell. He's the director of CeADAR, so he's going to give you an overview of the supports available through CeADAR to help you with your applying AI to your business. We also have Roberto Magnani, Watson Health Leader from IBM Ireland. So he's going to help us understand the art of the possible and how IBM are using AI across the healthcare sector. So just before I pass over to the real experts of the morning, I'm just going to run through a few items of housekeeping. So this morning, the format for our webinar, we're going to have two presentations and then we're going to have a Q&A at the end. So you are welcome to submit questions at any time. You'll have a question box on the panel that is on your screen. So you can use this to submit your questions and then we'll ask them to the panelists at the end. There is a raise hand function as well, but we don't have access to that, so please don't use it. Please use the question box instead. And also just to let you know that the webinar is being recorded. So if you have any technical problems throughout the morning, because they do crop up and we're having quite a few of them ourselves, don't worry, you'll get this circulated afterwards. So with that, I can see that Edward is kind of ready to go. So I am going to pass over to him for the first presentation of the morning.
Well, thank you, Siobhan. And just before you go, I just wanted to make sure that you can see those slides. Siobhan? Or
we can see a limited version of the slides, so I think you might just have a setting missing.
Let me see. Is that? Can you see them now?
Yeah, we can see them now. That's perfect.
Oh, perfect. Right. Okay, great. Well, thank you very much to KTI for giving me the opportunity to speak this morning, and a very good morning and welcome to all the attendees as well. Really, what I wanted to do in this quick overview of 10 minutes is introduce CeADAR and how we go about helping SMEs and multinationals here in Ireland apply AI, machine learning, and analytics. So the CeADAR Centre is one of the family of so-called technology centres that are funded by Enterprise Ireland and the IDA. And the CeADAR Centre is Ireland's Centre for Applied AI. Our tagline is making the possible real. So we take cutting-edge research and deliver it as solutions to our member companies. We're hosted in University College Dublin, and we're also in partnership with TU Dublin as well. So good. The centre itself, not only is it the Centre for Applied AI in Ireland, but the European Union has established a new network of centres of AI across Europe, which and these are called digital innovation hubs. There are 30 of them at the moment. There was a competitive process about a year and a half ago to select these, and I'm delighted to say that CeADAR was selected to be the Centre for Applied AI here for Ireland. You see some of the larger countries have actually 3 centres, so the number per country was very much determined by the population size and the economic activity of the country as well. So these new networks of digital innovation hubs are a new departure for the European Union. It's meant to democratize and move out into the individual countries of the European Union this expertise and moving away from much more centralized vision. The Centre of CeADAR, along with Next Generation in Dublin, co-founded 3 years ago the European Data Science and AI Awards, and delighted to say that the Big Data Value Association, which is the industry umbrella group in Europe, as well as the European Commission, are supporting and funding us in that. There's a celebration of talent across Europe, and also an opportunity to showcase excellence in AI and analytics across all the member countries. So that's a little bit of background. The centre itself has, as of today, 87 member companies, predominantly all based in Ireland. About a third of those members are multinationals and 2/3 are SMEs of all sizes. So the centre itself is a market-led centre. It's a market-led centre, and by that we mean that our work and agenda is very much influenced by all those member companies and the national ecosystem as well. And the focus is on applied R&D and implementation of cutting-edge technology and innovation, really to deliver value to these member companies and obviously competitive advantage. And we go about that in various ways, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So CeADAR, in terms of where it sits in the national landscape, sits really between the universities, which are very much focused on academic and scholarly excellence and basic research, and business and industry, which is focused on the business side, the commercial side, innovation, new product development, generating revenue and profits. So CeADAR is the bridge which spans between those two very disparate worlds. And in terms of the so-called technology readiness level scale, which you see there at the bottom of the screen, which runs from 1 to 9, CeADAR starts at TRL level 3, the proofs of value, and goes all the way up to TRL level 9, particularly with a very active spin-out program, and more about that later. So how does CeADAR deliver value to companies, both SMEs and multinationals? Well, we do that in a variety of ways. One is that we offer an advisory service to our member companies. So that is both advice in terms of technology choices and how AI and analytics can help companies. But at the same time as well, there's also the business side of that, and helping companies actually bring in an emphasis in their company, which is to make it much more data-driven rather than based on the hunch of key decision makers. We use data to support key decisions. We also develop what we call bespoke solutions. So these are technology solutions which are very much based on a one-to-one with individual companies. And that is what we refer to as our closed innovation agenda. On the other hand, and a big part of what we do is what we call open innovation, and that falls under the demonstrator little icon, hopefully, that you see on the screen. This is a very innovative and novel way of getting technology out to companies, particularly companies who may not have the expertise in AI and analytics. They may not even have the staff to support that. But this is a way for us to actually inject DNA of analytics and AI into the national ecosystem in the easiest way possible. So what we do is twice a year, we go out to all our member companies and we ask them for suggestions or proposals of work that we should undertake based very much on real world challenges that they are facing. So typically we get back maybe 30 to 45 suggestions from our member companies on areas that would be amenable to AI and analytics solutions. And then what we do is we make all those suggestions available to the member companies, and all our member companies, all 87 of them, actually vote on those proposals. And we put them then in rank order, and in a typical year we will undertake to do 12 of those, so we pop off the top 12 in the stack. What we do is we then assign individual teams to those particular proposals, and we turn them around and make them available in 6 months. So that very accelerated timescale, I think, makes the work very timely and maintains interest and support from the companies. Now, the companies can participate in the development of these demonstrators, and but we don't ask for the companies that they should submit IP or actual software development resource. We supply that, but we act under the guidance of the various companies. And I'll show you some examples in a moment of the sort of demonstrators we have. The portfolio of demonstrators that's available at the moment is over 60, and they're all grounded in real-world problems. These are not toy examples. So what else does CeADAR provide to make the ingestion of AI easier? We hold weekly business seminars, and we've gone completely online at the moment. We used to hold them in hotels around Dublin, but now actually these are weekly webinars. They're a mix of business and technology. At the moment, actually, we're going through a series of tech deep dives in various areas, but before the summer holidays there in August, we had a long series of more business-friendly seminars looking at case studies of examples where AI and analytics has really improved business success. We also work in collaboration with a lot of our member companies on various national funding instruments and on contract research with them. One of the very popular things that we do are workshops, and we conduct these workshops on a one-to-one basis with the member companies, and often that will involve maybe 3 or 4 workshops of perhaps 2 hours each, where we have a session where business and ourselves come together to examine a common problem and thrash out solutions to that, and all our member companies find that very useful, because CeADAR sees a very, very wide spectrum of use cases and solutions that we've developed, so we can bring unique perspectives to them. And finally, the last 6 aspects of what we do: we have a training function, we have postgraduate apprenticeships, which we have 10 of those, which actually just started there on Monday with 10 of our member companies, and that's supported 70% by Enterprise Ireland. The company funds the rest of that. We also help companies on their journey in average, because we're very aware that not all companies are sophisticated users of AI and analytics. So we tailor our offerings to suit all types. We have very sophisticated cutting-edge AI, and we also have more basic AI and analytics techniques available to companies to encourage them to adopt this technology and to move to the next stage in the maturity cycle. We have a very active program of spin-outs. We've got 5 of those that are venture funded at the moment, coming through CeADAR, and hopefully within a year they'll be spinning out to form standing companies. We're very active in Europe, and the successor to Horizon 2020, which is called Horizon Europe, and this year alone we won 4 major funding awards from them. And we bring our own member companies into those consortia in Europe, and also within the national ecosystem as well. We match companies together, sometimes involving us, sometimes not. And the final aspect of what we can offer, again, this was thanks to the EI Capital Equipment Fund, we got funding this year for a high-performance computer, practically a supercomputer, which has a huge amount of storage and processing capability, which will not only be used to assist us, but also in our member companies as well. So the demonstrators that I mentioned are a very, very easy way for companies to onboard AI and analytics technology, and these demonstrators cover a huge area. As you see down on the left-hand side there, it can be advanced machine learning, deep learning, prediction is always popular. Text and natural language processing is something that over the last year and a half has become very, very popular. We've been working in blockchain, for instance, for the last 3 years, and we've got a very large project underway with 2 companies in Dublin and that. Agri-food, call centers, analytics of customers. We do work in satellite, which is called location-based analytics, so that's processing of satellite images, and we do that in conjunction with iCheck, and that is funded by the European Space Agency. Video and image understanding and analysis is always popular, as is cybersecurity. So it's a very, very broad range of subject. So in essence, wherever there's data, you'll find us. So to give you an example of what some of these demonstrators look like, let's say these are ones that just finished there in July. Explainable machine learning. You can see all the companies, all the member companies that signed up to support that one and said, yes, we really think you should work on that and develop that as a demonstrator. Another one on fixing data. I often say that in any analytics AI problem, you spend 80% of your time working on the data, getting it prepared and ready, and you spend the remainder of the time, the 20%, complaining about the fact that you're spending 80% of your time on the data. This tool, DataFix, goes some way to automatically preparing the data for you. Reinforcement learning and deep learning over multimodal data sources, very, very topical, cutting-edge technologies there. And so again, cybersecurity, you can see there, machine learning and cybersecurity. That received a lot of media attention, actually, with two of the recent demos that we've done in that area. You'll see that. I mentioned as well about AI for Earth observation. So that really began our work in this area and also our relationship with the European Space Agency. Text analytics for contract understanding. So this was a very interesting project that took natural language processing and analytics to be able to ingest contracts, legal contracts, and be able to spot subtle differences in contracts from similar types of contracts. So that proved quite popular. So how do we make these tools available? Well, all our member companies have access to all the states of the art that go on behind and support the work that we're doing in these demonstrators, and all the technical specifications that we agree with the companies, and then we start to develop them. And all member companies have access to this catalog of IP, and at the moment there are over 60 of these examples. This is separate from the commercial work we do. This is part of the open innovation agenda that I talked about. So we give companies assistance with the technology evaluations, whether that's setting it up on their own servers behind their own firewalls, or whether we issue it as a web service. And the other thing too is that we make if the company wants to proceed with the demonstrator and actually make it part, let's say, of their commercial offering, there are very easy licensing terms. So what we've done is we put a fixed fee licensing, which is actually quite low on these. And this is a one-off payment for all eternity. And then it gives use of that technology then to the company to either use as is or to further develop it themselves or hopefully with us. So that is a quick run through of CeADAR and what we do and how we hopefully make the technology of AI and analytics is very exciting, world-changing technology, easily accessible at not only our member companies but the wider ecosystem of companies in Ireland. So thank you for that, and I will hand control back now to NASA, if we can get them. I'll stop sharing my camera as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Edward. I hope that the team can see the screen. Yes, if it is visible, I carry on. Please see there are questions. Okay.
I can see it, Roberto.
Thank you. Thank you for joining. Very good presentation, Edward, and I will try to link into that in the discussion we are going to do here. Now, I bring you into the healthcare industry just as an example, but I believe that all these things can be easily expanded to the different area in the different industries. Personally, I'm responsible in this moment for Middle East, Europe and Middle East for a project on healthcare using also artificial intelligence for IBM. IBM has a big campus here in Ireland, in Damastown, close to Blanchardstown. And so all the things we are sharing here can be applied, mutatis mutandis, to the different organization and the different industry, if somebody over here is not interested on the healthcare portion. I believe that healthcare have some interest now related to the fact that is an organization, apart the pandemic, and that is augmenting the interest, is an organization that is facing a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure because there are several expectations related to outcomes that should improve, greater value, experience, either for who receive the core activities and who deliver, who provide it. So in synthesis, over here, the healthcare organization, as everybody, is required to deliver more than with less. Let's say that is the concept. And it's necessary to optimize the existing asset. So artificial intelligence that is going in the area to manage better the data that are underutilized in this moment will be one of the elements that help to win this, to bypass this problem. So moving ahead, I would say that in a recent analysis we have done with our counterpart in the world, we may say that 80% of the executive in this moment expects that artificial intelligence can process natural language, including clinical text, and they have an expectation that together with cloud, that and all the techniques related to cloud, blockchain included, Edward mentioned that before, may improve the activity, the possibility to do more with less. The goal overall of the healthcare organization in life science means who provide drugs, develop drugs and medical devices, in our view, and all the rest of the provider and organization that support the care of patient are moving from a traditional predicting type of approach of the medical service into an individual management to arrive to what is called personalized medicine that require the analysis and integration of several data, and to arrive to what can be preventative medicine. Let me do a small example. If with a wearable device that can be a short or whatever, a bracelet, a watch, we would have been conditioned to anticipate all the strange symptoms or the symptoms of COVID-19. Probably we could have contained the pandemic much at the beginning. It's a simple and stupid example, but it's just to give an idea that from traditional medicine to personalized, using information that artificial intelligence may help to elaborate in a predictive way, we may arrive to a preventive medicine that at the end will reduce the cost of the system of healthcare and improve, of course, the service to the different setup. In reality, artificial intelligence represents a revolution. Why? Because it is in condition to manage at the same time physical, biological, and digital data, integrating through different process. Blockchain has been already mentioned, but introducing practically 2-3 things that are important. Analyze unstructured data, so not consistent with each other. Process in natural languages and analytics, predictive analytics to anticipate things. Now, this is go to an approach to a cognitive computing that is common to all the different industry, but for the healthcare environment is the necessary step to arrive to a personalized medicine. As I said before, is one of the goals that the organization, all the organization has in the future. Now, in principle, what I would say is that artificial intelligence alone is not something that can solve the situation. Edward was speaking about workshop. That is the correct approach, because is the integrated view of the existing asset, the availability of data, and then the design of correct approach. The next, the real approach to apply artificial intelligence in a right way. Artificial intelligence is in the literature since years. I believe has been generated originally in North America in the 50s, and was related to whatever we have seen in the movie, like human acting robots. In reality, the application of artificial intelligence started with narrow application that are dedicated to a specific environment, a specific area. I can use the face recognition, okay? Face recognition at the airport for your passport. If you put a dog instead of you, the machine is not in condition to work, okay? So that is a narrow application. In this moment, we are in the second phase. We are not yet at the generic artificial intelligence approach, which is what is called broad application of artificial intelligence. That is the combination of narrow approach in a overall view orchestrated under a unique project. Take the example of self-driving car. Okay, self-driving car is a combination of artificial intelligence managing a specific the engine, the position, the presence of obstacle, and so on. For who is familiar with cloud, it's evident that that is a typical Kubernetes environment in a Docker technology using this kind of cloud technology. So that is just to bring you a simple example that artificial intelligence in every industry require a structure, a design of a structure of the IT that helps to exploit all these things. Said that, of course, in the industry, we are discussing here systematically mine knowledge is absolutely necessary for COVID-19 in this moment. Every day we have additional information, additional input into the system that should be re-elaborated in a learning phase and provide the researchers with a new predictive view. There are several types of therapy in this moment in test that are either to manage the situation of the patient, either to the results of the famous vaccine. Everybody looks into that. Of course, all the activities require reduced time, and optimizing the protocol, utilizing learning, digitalized clinical processes help in reducing time and cost. For COVID-19, I take the example of COVID-19, but that is generic, is absolutely the reason why everybody is saying that in the short term, we are in condition to have a vaccine. Otherwise, we would have necessarily the natural verification of the things, and that would have taken years. Okay? and is also in condition to analyze the differentiated value and demonstrate the differentiated result, helping in crossing the data in a more intelligent way. That is the way how overall is used, but that is academic, still academic, is theory. So if we go in details and jump to a simple example, medical coding during the trial, also that for COVID-19, the important things are the information the doctor collects, and there are a specific code to collect these things. You may imagine that a doctor in intensive care room is collecting information in a very rush way, and mistakes on that phase can reduce the precision, and so keep longer the time in managing the trials and decide if drugs or vaccine works. Now, the utilization of Watson and the capability that we have in recognizing the writing and eventually in some cases also the speech bring to reduce, and we have reduced the mistakes over 70%. That reduce of mistakes, you need less patient to arrive to the same type of result and demonstrate the organization that should approve a specific trial, a specific drug, to take a decision in much shorter time. That is why somebody in North America is saying we will have a vaccine in few months. It's because they are applying this. But that is not the only area, okay? The other area is the imaging. We are not detecting eventually the presence of a cancer. That is a doctor that has to detect it. But combining the different capability to compare imaging, we may suggest critical area to the doctor to be analyzed. And that is improving radically the management of tumors. We have, I put over here an example developed with a University of Oxford, sorry, for cancer on the colorectal system, but that is applicable to lung, to liver, to prostate, and that is another area where the capability to combine imaging, analysis of the imaging on specific writing, together with other imaging, with analysis on that can help the doctor and alert the doctor in the correct way in defining if something is serious to be treated and which kind of treatment should be defined or anticipate the problem. The last point I will touch now is we should not where, but everywhere, artificial intelligence utilization is now more and more taken under analysis, is the working relation after COVID-19. Somebody called that return to work. It's not return to work because people is currently working remotely, so it's the new way to manage the work, okay? When it's in work site, to assure all the capability from a facilities point of view, or monitoring the situation of the people in a way that we keep the space safe and healthy, and for the one that works from home, because there are anyway possibility to maintain and develop application that help the employer to support the entire workforce, verify the entire workforce, but not only this, to keep the workforce working in the best efficient way considering the situation. That is an area that we shouldn't neglect. And there are several analyses in this moment running on these kind of things. Of course, each of these lines may require a dedicated workshop if you want. But we are working with the worldwide healthcare organization and other organization to provide direction and structure approach that help the different companies to approach the things in the best way. So yeah, I would say that artificial intelligence in healthcare has different applications, all pass through process optimization, utilization intelligence of IT, and data and analytics of larger capability, larger bulk of data. Artificial intelligence is a vehicle to utilize all these things at the best. How we apply that? Usually with analysis. Who knows how to apply artificial intelligence is the user, because they knows what they need and they knows their business. So the best way, how so Edward was anticipating before, is to spend some time in analyzing the things, analyze what is necessary to be done, and from there proceed with simple stuff like the code for doctors before, or complex stuff like the imaging. Now, when is the case to apply one of the two or both, that is related to the situation and the goal we want to do. And that pass through a simple couple of days design analysis, design thinking analysis that is necessary to proceed with any project in applying artificial intelligence. That is to say that we are at the beginning of a journey, because in reality, we don't know yet how much beneficial can be artificial intelligence. I bring at the end just an example. I may have a video to share with you in another occasion, where in North America, and now is available also in Europe, an application for diabetes patient that monitoring the situation, the daily situation that is on mobile phone, and they have to report the daily situation, is anticipating eventually peak of insulin, and in this way suggesting action, make a run, or eat salad, that prevent to the specific person the bad evolution of the situation, like diabetes people is used to face suddenly when the insulin is not at the right level. So that is an example that, and we can multiply that for thousands, millions of situations. And the only way is to start step by step in a journey that can bring the entire society in a better way to live. So I stop here because I just launched topics that should be analyzed, and I'm available. You have my contact here for anybody that want to go further into this kind of discussion. I move the control, although I believe the panelists, you can take the control over. Now on, I believe, no?
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Roberto, and to Edward for those very informative presentations this morning. We have quite a lot of questions coming in, actually, and there's quite a lot of questions about research funding for artificial intelligence. So I'm just going to start that one off and try and answer it from a KTI perspective. There is, on the KTI website, you will find an R&D funding tool, which will bring up any state funding that might be available for your project. So that will cover us from doing consultancy with a research organization to doing any larger scale collaborative research, and any of those could be applied to artificial intelligence. But I'll also ask that to Edward as well. Is there any specific funding supports available for artificial intelligence that you think our audience should be aware of?
I'll just check that you can hear me, Siobhan.
I can hear you, yeah.
Oh, super. Yeah, well, actually, it's very topical. You should mention that at the moment, Siobhan, there's the Department of Business Enterprise and Innovation launched the DTIF, Disruptive Technologies Innovation Fund. That was just recently announced by the Minister, and that's open till around Christmas time, and we're actively soliciting companies who would be interested in working on that. There's also from Enterprise Ireland, there's the Marie Curie Fellowship, which actually doesn't cost the company anything. That's completely funded by EI and Horizon 2020. That's been a very popular tool for us. And the other thing I would mention, perennially popular with our member companies, is the Enterprise Ireland Innovation Partnership Programme, which can fund up to 80% of any joint projects. And that one is very popular. And at any one time, we've probably got maybe 3 or 4 innovation partnerships running with member companies. But if anyone is interested in learning more specifically in the case studies of where we've used these in the past, please do just drop me a line. I'd be more than happy to talk about that. But there is a wealth. There is a wealth of funding supports available to all companies, large and small.
Brilliant. And we've got some questions in. Another question for yourself, Edward. There was a lot of really interesting examples of how Cedar has been working with companies across different industry sectors. Is there a typical profile of an industry partner that would work with Cedar? Would it be, would you work mainly with SMEs or multinational, or any size in between?
We're absolutely open to everyone as part of our remit, and obviously being funded through EI and the IDA. We help companies who are at the very cutting edge, very sophisticated users of AI, right down to companies who hear a lot about AI and analytics in the media but don't know how to start, may not even have data available. And so there's a wide spectrum of companies that we can help there. And in fact, actually, there's more and more, because of the media attention around AI and analytics, we get lots of requests from companies just to help them understand the landscape and understand what actually AI and analytics and machine learning can bring, because there's an awful lot of hype out there. But companies are seeing their competitors using it in marketing, using it to gain competitive advantage, and actually deploying the technology as well. So there is that sense as well, oh, we better actually get engaged with this, because otherwise we could be left behind. And it is such a huge game changer for the world. So, you know, we help all companies of all sizes, from small to large.
And similarly, a question for Roberto as well. So there's obviously some really exciting research happening across the IBM Watson project. How can Irish SMEs work with you on artificial intelligence projects?
There are several we are part of IBEC. So in reality, from a business development in Ireland, you can easily reach out the organization that support direct the Irish companies. There is people devoted for that. And we have a project running in this moment. We have a study running, just to share, that is applying artificial intelligence for the child with prevention. Is a child with a specific disease to prevent critical situation. For instance, that is running in this moment. Okay, I cannot share, but it's running in this moment with an important hospital in Ireland. And we are analyzing with another organization the utilization of imaging, as I was explaining before, for dermatology. And that is an interesting project, because it's not specialized. If it's going and it will be successful, it's something that will put different centers spread in the country that facilitate the GP to easily identify problems on your skin that may look dangerous and they are not, or vice versa, without the need of a specific travel to Dublin to verify things or stuff like that. These are the type of project we are running in this moment. You can easily reach for me if you want, or directly with the Irish people that are in IBEC or sales organization. Myself is also a point of entry.
Brilliant. And we see that you've given out your email address on that last slide. And we also have Edward's, so I'm sure you'll be getting lots of emails from the attendees this morning. We're just coming up to the end of our time. So if there are any other questions, we can put them to the speakers after this webinar. Just to mention that our next webinar in the Unlocking Knowledge Transfer series will be held on the 3rd of November, and we're going to be covering the topic of trade secrets, which is a very important form of intellectual property, and particularly now while everyone is remote working, it's become of increasing importance. So I'm sure a lot of you will be interested in that. So all that's left for me to say this morning is to thank both our speakers, to Edward and Roberto, for sharing their expertise with us this morning. We will be circulating their presentations afterwards. You'll also get a copy of the recording. And if you have any feedback after this event, we would love to hear it. It will help us to shape any of the future webinars and make sure that the content is most relevant to yourselves. So thank you all for attending this morning, and we hope that you have a lovely day.
Well, thank you, Siobhan. Thank you, Roberto.
Thank you. Thank you. Very good. Thank you.